Hello everyone. Welcome to us try to make this last couple of weeks of football seem interesting, and welcome to the Untitled Sickos project where football is dead, art is dead, football doesn't exist anymore. I'm Bears fan.
Hello. Marvel Rivals is a lot of freaking fun.
Yeah, but what about Marby rivals?
Yeah, also, what about your name?
Oh, I'm Luke, aka the MaskedAura, aka the guy that's manually randomized three NHL games manually.
AKA the bird from Aladdin.
How I don't know what kind of fucking drugs your parents are on. I've asked everybody this. Cause don't get me wrong, I can do the impression, but there's no way in hell my regular voice sounds like fucking Yago from Aladdin.
Look, people, if you think that's ridiculous, I've had people say I sound like Peter Griffin, so, we're all in that boat somehow.
Are they high?
Hey Lois, I'm on the Untitled Sickos project. As you can tell, everyone, it's been a very, very, very rough week for sports.
Real quick,
yeah,
one thing I really want to get out of the way before we get... Hi, I'm, Carsausage. It's been a week. It's certainly been a week.
Also, we forget one other person, too. Go ahead, speak your truth, King.
Well, what if I don't want to? I'm kidding. Hey, it's Noah, the man riding his hopes and dreams off of a college football program because their professional football team sucks donkey butt right now.
Larry Hunter is still looking for mustard.
Mustard. Anywho, guys, as you can tell, it's not looking good for stuff to talk about in sports. It's been a rough week. We had to eat Juggerbear.
Yeah.
Apparently, pairing him with holy water was not, as they say, ethical.
It unfortunately caused them to self-destruct, so we had to clean up the remains. So it was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible to see. It was terrible to experience. We hate to see it. We regret it all. Juggerbear, may you rest in peace.
I guess something did happen on the Vikings front. If you'll indulge me, folks. You never seen a comeback quite like this one. Not quite anything like this. Midget Murray thought he had us beat with a couple illegal mail-in touchdowns. He took a 13-point lead, but on Genius, the Donald, he said, "Not so fast there, partner, mi hombre." And then he proceeded to take the crappy Cardinals and take him behind the woodshed, and just nobody did it quite like him. And now we go on to the failing Falcons and Crooked Cousins to see what he does when separated from this terrific franchise with its even more terrific quarterback. Thank you.
Gotta say, is there anything else that needs to be said from the Darnold regarding future events?
I've heard in the next election, J.J. Harris is going to step up and potentially take the Darnold's as the God Emperor quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
Fake news, folks. Nothing but fake news. You may have heard about our new running mate, DJ Vance. He comes to us from the state of New York. We love New York, don't we, folks?
I guess let's get the show on the road, as they say. Unfortunately, like I said, it's been a relatively dry week. However, you want to know what isn't dry? The Chicago Bears, baby! I love the Bears! I love this team so much! I love losing close games! I love having back-to-back-to-back heartbreaking losses! I love that we've had the most fucking biggest failure of a head coach in our entire franchise history, to the point we had the people who do not fire anyone be like, yeah, we're gonna fire you.
Well, everybody was talking about taking a timeout against hate, and then Matt Eberflus was just like, no, let hate cook. Let bigotry do its thing, man.
I'm bigoted to old white men with beards in their 50s. That's what I'm bigoted against. Look, me and Nick could go on here for hours about Matt Eberflus, but I'm just gonna say it. He was the worst coach in the NFL this year. I don't think you can make a case. I don't think you can make a case for almost any other coach. You could maybe Doug Peterson. But Matt Eberflus turned a team that had playoff ambitions to a team that will be eliminated next week because they're going to find some way to lose to the Niners because we can't have any joy in our life.
I'm pretty confident that the Bears will...
EJ Moore is questionable.
I mean, to be fair, that game is basically a hospital game, so at this rate, it's more just to play and see what you see out there, because this will be our first game with Thomas Brown as the interim head coach. Anyways, regarding the fucking the old piece of shit that used to run things here, all I can really say is, because he's a dead horse that's gotten beaten to death already. You know, those kind of games, especially when they are back to back to back, those kind of games are what gives the Joker his laugh. That's all I really gotta say about that.
I suppose I should talk about it from the perspective of somebody who was watching the game with a Lions fan. They were really nervous that they were about to Matt Patricia the game away. And, I was kind of nervous too. And then all of a sudden, we look up and the game is over and we're like, huh? I guess we won.
Yeah,
I was pretty flabbergasted.
I've never seen this bad of mismanagement ever before, right? The fact that Matt Eberflus did this so consistently, right? Even last year with Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus's inability to finish games is what costed him the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think a close second is probably Mark Trestman calling for a field goal on second down in overtime. Why? There are four downs in American football, my friend.
I mean...
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is it's just, this is, if Trustman's got that and the 42-0 halftime score against the Packers, then, well, Flus has his freaking jokes and all that. Well, not even just jokes, just being a fucking, being inept in a way that makes even the most usually inept head coaches look look at you like, are you the stupidest person that's ever existed? Because, I mean, the reactions from that moment were certainly something else, and it was deserving reactions 100%. But it really tells you something like how goddamn stupid of a situation that was, that you could fuck something up like that badly. Like it's really just really sums up the Eberflus tenure in a perfectly tied bow, because the funny thing is, if the Bears had just lost that game in normal fashion, he probably still has a job right now, but because Eberflus had to pull off his magnum opus of being a fucking idiot, he managed to do something that the Bears have never done before, and actually make him fire a head coach mid-season. So that is, I should probably be thanking him for that, because I no longer have to worry about that man ever again.
Here's the thing, though. Like, he single-handed the fact that he absolutely ruined that locker room needs to be studied, because I genuinely
nobody could even try defending him out on Twitter, out on press conferences. I've never seen it. It's been a while since I've seen a team that just begging for it's been a while since I've seen a team just unabashedly shameless about wanting a head coach gone.
I've always been like, there's no way Matt Nagy was that awful. Like, I kept on telling myself, there's no way Matt Nagy would be worse than Matt Eberflus, or would be better than Matt Eberflus. And somehow, some way, Matt Eberflus managed to not only be worse, but be in the history books, which I didn't know was possible.
Listen, I'm just saying, it's really impressive that 2 Bears games this season have Wikipedia pages. So that takes some serious skill right there. That takes some incompetence, but it's still skill to be that fucking incompetent. With that being said, it really says something that, yeah, you know, after that, and from what I've heard more of, this was not just a one-time thing. This also happened after the Vikings game. Yeah, players were fucking pissed about it, and they were very, very open about their thoughts after the game. In particular, Jalen Johnson, who, you know, I feel like Jalen Johnson, just for that act alone, and also the fact that he's been one of the best defensive players in the game, he should be gifted a Pro Bowl spot for that. Like, I'm being dead serious. Just hand him one right now, because that's something. You know, when you're that stupid of a head coach, you know what? Jalen Johnson had all the right in the world to yell his freaking lungs out at Matt Eberflus, because it's incompetence at its finest. And, you know, I don't know how Thomas Brown will do. However he does, you know, it is what it is at this rate, because the Bears they're basically just playing just to see what they can get out of Caleb in his rookie season, which I will say, should be said that Caleb was doing everything he had to do in that Lions game, just like he did everything he had to do in that Vikings game beforehand. Like, you know,
just like everything he had to do in that Packers game, and just like everything he had to do in that. Well, I guess not the Commanders game. Well, I guess in the later half.
Yeah, after Shane Waldron's gone, you get the point. Like,
yeah, I mean, like. That's the thing. As an opposing fan for that Vikings game, I really thought Caleb Williams really showed his stuff. You know, when Brian Flores wasn't blitzing down his throat.
Brian Flores wasn't in Caleb's head. Caleb Williams has actually been one of the few passers this year that's been successful against the blitz.
Right. I'm more talking about that overtime drive.
Oh.
I mean, I
find it particularly funny that was the game where I really started wondering. That was the game where I really started wondering if Eberflus was really head coach material. Well, I think the Commanders game was the first one, but that Vikings, and maybe the Packers game, but that Vikings game was especially egregious. Soft zone coverage in an overtime drive on multiple for multiple first and plus 10 yards to go. It just felt like active self-sabotage.
I mean,
yeah, and it's worth noting. I just gotta say, regarding Flus, it's worth noting that I find it very interesting that it feels poetic in a way that he got fired after a Thursday football game, considering that the closest he had gotten fired before the game against the Lions was when we had to play that Thursday night game in 2023 against the Commanders after the Bears had started 0-4. Our defensive coordinator had resigned, and we were coming off a game blown out by the Chiefs and blowing a 21-point lead to the Broncos the week after they had let the Dolphins scored 70 on them. That was the closest he had gotten fired up until the Lions game, and I find it very funny that it happened because of a Thursday game, because the only reason he saved his job then was because they were playing on Thursday, and on the other hand, it's also poetic that the locker room turning on him is why he lost that job, because the only reason Eberflus got a third year to begin with was because of the locker room. That was the only reason he got a third season, was because the Bears won some games towards the end, and he did win the locker room over to end the season last year. And how does he respond to that? How does he fulfill and follow through with that? Well, he completely loses the locker room and causes the Bears to make history. So go figure.
Maybe he shouldn't have grown that beard. Just maybe he should have focused on the culture of the locker room instead of his facial hair. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, probably.
You don't get it, man. That was a glorious beard. Do not disrespect the Flus when his beard is loose.
It's a damn shame the beard does not cause a higher IQ, unfortunately. That is a damn shame.
Maybe if he tried throwing glasses on during this off-season, people would have called them smart, too.
No, yeah. They have him go full Dicka.
Oh, God, yeah, actually, that would have worked, actually. That would have been really funny. By the way, I just gotta say real quick, off topic, but I find it really funny that Spencer has been making the Ozempic Matt Patricia jokes about Ryan Day, and I just find that really funny because I posted this in the group chat, but yeah, I think Matt Patricia himself has taken the Ozempic Matt Patricia to a new meaning.
Who's to say who really was on the sideline for that Ohio State game?
True.
Coincidence? I think not.
Listen, I know the NFL is lacking in details, right, or lacking in some interest right now, but I gotta say, if we could quickly switch the topic over, gotta say, there was a whole lot of beef last week in college football.
I like to call it, a classic Luke saying, skill issue, don't lose your games. But
I also view it this way, it's just not needed. Like, simply put, oh wow, yeah, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna really show these people, like, my brother in Christ, you won the game already. Just go to the sideline. I think fighting after games are so stupid.
Is that really...
Like, there's... I think I've never seen NFL rivalries this bad before.
Like, it's rivalry week. You know what? You win the game, do what you fucking want to do. Hey, if Baker Mayfield could plant the flag at Ohio State, I think you have every right to do what you want to do out there, especially in a rivalry game and something as heated as Michigan and Ohio State. You have every right to do what you want to do, and if they want to bitch about it, well, that's their problem. They're only exposing themselves even more for being a bunch of bitches.
Yeah, skill issue.
Here's the
Win
thing.
your game.
I wish we would have put that energy into stealing Toledo back, but
Yeah, it's fair. That is completely understandable. It's just really funny though that Ohio State just lays an egg out there for 60 minutes offensively, and their defense tried to do everything they can to try and win that game for them, but unfortunately they couldn't because the Ohio State offense just completely froze out there. And then afterwards, the most interesting part of the game happens. You just have a full-on brawl.
They should. Where was that fight during the game, you know?
Yeah. Also, I just gotta say, sorry, just to quickly add to this, I gotta say, like, for as much as look, I love him as a commentator, but I gotta say, Gus Johnson, for the love of God, stop dick riding Ohio State so much, please.
Get off my goat, get off my goat. He doesn't know better. You're being a hater.
I mean, I really wish there was something better in the debate, that there was more attractive options that with consistency, like Oregon and Penn State, but like the Big Ten outside of those, they don't really have much.
He's always been like this with the Buckeyes.
No. Do not say the Big Ten only has this. Luke, you are the biggest proprietor of people who think Alabama should make the CFB.
I don't think Alabama. Why are you assuming that? I want Miami.
I'm just saying.
Miami. Here's the thing. I will say the SEC is the best college conference, no doubt. Does Alabama deserve to be in it? Fuck no.
I'm just saying you're great. People with those opinions say that the SEC, are people saying that Alabama should make the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
Did I say Alabama should make the playoffs? I'm saying Miami should make the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that those people make those kinds of opinions when people say that.
Anyways,
Miami. Actually, you know what, Spencer? Go ahead.
I think the most pathetic brawl I saw was the Arizona State-Arizona brawl. Like, they beat you 49-7. What happened? Why are you only showing any fight now?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy to think how Arizona State and Arizona had two way different expectations this season. And it just felt like the complete opposite of that happened, where Arizona completely fell apart this season, and Arizona State is one win away from being in the college football playoff.
I am ready to put on a show.
The Big 12 is incredible.
I think there's a certain team in Indiana that we discussed.
We're talking. None of this even happens if not for this stupid blue bird. Beating Iowa State, Colorado, and BYU back to back. Single-handed destroying the entire Big 12 all on their own.
I mean, the sad thing is, I'm so sad about the Jayhawks is like they if they can they beat the top level competition, why couldn't they handle their own business? That's what upsets me.
Sometimes
what the fuck is holding a lead in the final minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one score.
Because sometimes things just happen.
Yeah, just ask Scott Frost about that.
I will say this, I do find it really funny that Lane Kiffin right now is absolutely molding online. Which, like, to a point, deservedly so. You should, if any team should be over Alabama, it should be Ole Miss.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I want to see what Jackson Dart has at when the microscope is like really on him.
Yeah,
I
will say this though, if we're talking the SEC, it is crazy to think that if it was not for a missed field goal, South Carolina would be in the playoffs right now. That is wild to think about.
Do you think we should talk about a certain team from Indiana now?
Oh yeah, I hope Indiana does well. Just the big thing is they're gonna have to play somebody very. They're either playing Georgia or Ohio State in the first round.
Oh God, yeah, So Indiana, congratulations on making the playoffs and all that. Gotta be said though, there is another Indiana college football team that needs to be talked about for the opposite reason of the Hoosiers this season.
Don't.
Yeah, made a video on it. Did very well. I'm happy about that. I can't say Purdue fans are happy though.
Hey, they're happy their head coach is gone.
Yeah. Good God. I mean, I've been wanting to do that video for months, and just watching Purdue either just well, not even either. It was not even either a close game or getting blown out, because they got blown out in almost just so many games this season, like 6 games this season. They got blown out by 30 points or more, and that's bad in its own right. It's a lot worse when you realize in 4 of those games, it was by more than 40 points.
How do you have a worse recruiting class than Kent State?
Hey, Kent State didn't even win a game!
Their head coach is being alleged that he's a gambling addict.
That's the messed up part.
Like, holy shit.
Like, he got that going for him, too. Not only, like, because here's the thing, in college football, I think it's more embarrassing to not win a game, even if you are a group of 5 school, because you're essentially given a give me win whenever you play an FCS team. They didn't even beat an FCS team.
Yeah.
Those are essentially games that you are like auto wins. You have to be like someone is like horrifyingly bad, like Nevada. Right, Nevada, they played no. Who played Montana and lost week 1? Week 0.
New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico. Lobos.
They went 5-7.
Even though Lobos had an okay season like that.
Unfortunately, they lost their head coach, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, still, like, the fact of the matter is with Purdue, it's like, it is, you know, they were 1-0 and granted, they beat the team they needed to beat, and then that Notre Dame game happened, and everything that could go wrong for them right afterwards just completely went wrong. Like, you know, not scoring a touchdown for a while, and then you fire your offensive coordinator. Getting blown out by the likes of Wisconsin, you know, Ohio State, Oregon, and all of that, Penn State, you know, and then of course the magnum opus that was the Indiana game, just 66-0.
Oh yeah. Like I think even like in conference play, if you get blown up by more than 50, someone's got to get fired. The guy ain't it.
Didn't Purdue only have 67 yards on the game too? They barely beat Ohio. They barely beat Indiana in terms of yards to points, let alone points to points.
Yeah, and I think the funniest, like the thing that truly puts it in perspective, is how like you know, Purdue was so bad this season that like they were so bad this season that if they had started every game with a 34-point head start, they would have finished 6-6.
Oh man.
That just makes that whole Illinois-Purdue game look so much weirder looking back on it.
Yeah.
That was a funny game. It is funny though. Actually, it is actually funny to think about that. The 2 closest games they came to winning were against the Illinois teams, Illinois and Northwestern. And in both of those games, Ryan Walters made a decision that would be heavily criticized by the fan base.
I'm pretty sure, you know, Ryan Walters would find a way to breathe wrong.
I mean, he had me worried.
Just my God, like when I'm having to compare you to Chad Morris at Arkansas, you are doing something horrifically wrong as head coach.
Yeah, it's just. I'm stunned because like those are the kind of seasons where I would be absolutely hard pressed in saying being on the board for a relegation and bringing back the Pac-12 and enforcing some sort of regulation, because I think it's needed more than ever. I think there's so many group of 5 schools that would do so well in a power conference, and there's so many schools that are in Power 5 in the Power 4 right now that just need to go. They're just there for a paycheck.
You also have to keep in mind too, though, like some of those schools are legacy schools, like they'll never go out.
Yeah, they'll never go out. But also, I mean, the thing is with stuff like that, the confusion part is it's like, well, they're conferences for a reason, and well, if they suck at one sport, well, they're probably good at something else and all of that. And it's just, that's why you'll probably never see someone like, like Purdue go out because, well, they suck ass at football, but you know what? Hey, they're good at basketball. It's why someone like, Vanderbilt for the longest times always had the argument that, and honestly, the justified argument that, well, we suck ass at football, but hey, we've always been good at baseball. Like, the thing is in conferences, as long as you're good at one sport, you should be safe. If you suck at all sports, that's a much different conversation, though. If you suck at all of them, that's bad.
On a sport-to-sport basis, right? Like, if you're bad at football, like, Purdue's a basketball school. Like, they're going to care way more about basketball. I'm fine if Purdue stays in the Big Ten for basketball. But, like, Purdue should be in the MAC for football.
Yeah,
no.
That's fair.
No, I don't like that idea.
Walters just sucked ass as a coach. Remember Jeff Brom? Purdue was pretty good under Jeff Brom. They made the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
Well, here's another college football coach that sucked.
True.
You remember Brady Hoke with the Wolverines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't like him very much.
If you can't, hello everyone. Welcome to the background noise from the stream, where you can hear in real time Luke get yelled at by his wife.
We got a large instead of a medium. Relax.
No, I want to take a photo of the
Well, while that's going on, I feel like this is a good segue to talk about an incident that happened this Sunday, and I feel like I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't have Noah talk about it, considering it happened with his team.
Here it comes. Yep. You know what? Let's set the stage first. Before we get into that incident, I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. The Texans suck. They're just bad. They're terrible. I don't know what happened from 6-2, but they can't offense. Their defense is giving up points to Mac Jones now. You're giving up big plays to Will Levis as well. They're unlikable. They're undisciplined. They're poorly coached. They're poorly executing things. I would call them frauds, but they're just straight up bad now, and it's just scream first round exit. And then, if only that was the worst thing about it. Because then, Al Shair, if I'm pronouncing his name right, cheap-shotted Trevor Lawrence, who just got back from the IL. And then, my goodness, then he chopped the Jacksonville fans for no reason whatsoever. And now he's embracing his role as a villain, even though cheap-shotting someone and ending their season isn't being a villain, it's just being a dickhead. And to be perfectly honest, it just wraps around just how much of a nightmare these past couple of weeks have been. Only wins have been against a dead Cowboys team that was hurt to hell and back, and a Jaguars team that's actively tanking. And they nearly blew it to that team. It's honestly just gotten tiresome. Stroud is either going through a sophomore slump or is getting absolutely killed out there. Laramie Tunsil still is obsessed with the color yellow. I seriously think he needs to touch grass because that color's green.
Yeah, it's just
Everyone's getting hurt too. Jalen Petre's out for several weeks. There's really nothing good to say about. The only reason they're 8-5, the only reason they're still leading this division is because the AFC South is just as bad as the rest of them. This is just not a fun team to watch. The team is infuriating, barely escaping with their own lives most of the time. They have a bye week this week, which, thank God. and Al Shair has been suspended for 3 games, which right call, to be perfectly honest, no matter what anyone thinks. So I think the worst part about all of this. No, I'm not done. I'm not done. This is the venting session. I have not done this in a long time. The worst thing in that happened was that D'Amico Ryans and Nick Casario defended Shair's actions and said that it might have even been Trevor Lawrence's fault, which is just absurd. The stock value of Houston has dropped off so hard since they swept the Colts a few weeks back, and it's just tragic to watch. There's really not much to like about Houston. The only thing good about them is their record. Alright, I'm done.
No, I was just gonna say, I think the biggest thing about them, too, is just, like... the last thing Houston needs is more drama on top of the drama that they already have. And it's just, like... it's so frustrating. Like, this team is so young, and they still have time to fix their stuff and right their wrongs, but, like, they're so frustrating, man. Not to mention, too, that the whole Al Shair situation is completely ridiculous, because then he goes on Twitter and is like, this is all racism and Islamophobia. And do I think there's racist NFL fans out there? 100%. Do I think...
But he cheap shot at Trevor Lawrence. This has nothing to do with racism.
Yeah. This is not some, oh, people are out to get me moment. This is a, you were being a dumbass, and you got bitched. Congratulations. This is what happens when you do stupid shit. You'll win stupid prizes.
Yeah, bro, you are not Ian Johnson, who is receiving death threats because of proposing an interracial marriage on television. You took a cheap shot on Trevor Lawrence in a way that made me think, wait, what's Greg Williams up to right now? I should never have to think that.
You know, if you want to be a villain, be a good villain. And not be a shitty fucking villain that, honestly, I don't even think you deserve to be called Vontaze Perfect tier. You're more Ricky Incognito tier right now. That's the vibes I'm getting from this motherfucker right now. Not just with this incident, but obviously earlier.
You know who I thought of first? Well, Marcus Joyner.
Yeah, that works.
I mean, one of the things too, especially I want to go back on the whole racist thing here. Now, I have worked with many people who have that ethnic background. They don't take criticisms, and they do, like, for one thing that they do not stand is they don't know idioms. So even something like that is something like saying, you know, we can call each other motherfuckers. You mentioned motherfucker to this guy, they want to beat the shit out of you. They're short-tempered, they don't think straight, and a lot of them don't take insults lightly. Like, especially if you are even slightly racist to them, they will be lashing out. They do not take any sort of racism lightly at all. Like, people in Canada will lose their jobs if they say something that is slightly racist. And
sorry, I just final score came in. Minnesota beat the Anaheim Ducks bad, 5-1.
Oh, they'll have Jacob Trouba soon. They're fine.
Right. It's still like, damn, we look good. We finally look good, and we're not even to the fun part.
Yeah, hell yeah. I just gotta say with the Texans, like from a drama standpoint, the obvious vibes are Steelers vibes, obviously, from all the years you could pick with the Steelers and them being a drama-filled shit show. I will say on
2018.
field, yeah, there's 2018. Yeah, but on field, I'm gonna be honest. In terms of frustration, like where you're playing with a young quarterback, you have a defensive-minded head coach, and you feel like there's high expectations for this team. And granted, their record isn't bad, but it feels like something is missing. I gotta say, this team gives me some 2022 Chargers vibes. Like, in that kind of way, they give me 2022 Chargers vibes, where it's like they have those similarities, and there were high expectations for them, but they're not playing up to their full potential. And granted, their record should be good enough to get them in the playoffs, but how that playoff game goes shall remain to be seen, because anyone who knows the 2022 Chargers knows how their playoff game went.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Houston. I think I argue that the only good games they've had all year was week 1 against the Colts, the game against the Patriots. Every other game has been a slog. Week 2 against the Bears. Week 2 against the Bears. The only reason they won that game was because the offensive line could not stop. Because the offensive line had no answers for the Texans' defensive line. The Texans sweeping against the Colts. They got lucky. They touched the Colts defender who was running it back for a scoop and score. It was the game against the Jet. There was the recent game against the Jaguars. Only reason they beat them was because they had that big of a lead. Trevor Lawrence was hurt, and Doug Peterson is just not a good coach. The game against the Cowboys. Only reason they won that game was because of a 2 fumble scoop and score. Texans could not score on the Cowboys offense, remember. It was also the terrible 4th down play that the Cowboys had that could have potentially made it a 3-point game, but instead kept it a 2-score game. So many of the Texans games have been the same thing. Just escaping their own incompetence because the other team is just either that much worse or that much more injured. Week 1 against the Colts and another game against the Patriots. Those are the only complete efforts all season long.
Speaking of the Colts, excuse me, Mr. Earthay, it seems you won your game against the Patriots. How does that make you feel?
Feels like I want to jump in some white girl stuff, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna do a cannonball and some cartwheels. I haven't done a cartwheel since I was a teenager, but I tell you, this Bolivian marching powder, it makes me do cartwheels.
How would you know if you haven't done it since you were a teen?
Because I've had to focus on my music career in Morty. That's what I had to do. Morty, we're gonna go abuse my wife now.
We're gonna make the playoffs, Morty.
We're gonna make the playoffs, and then we're gonna make a pass to the divisional round. And then I'm gonna do so much disco dust that it's gonna break Roger Goodell's drug tests, and that's how we get Tom Brady suspended.
And I won't even be able to tell apart Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco, so they'll be the same quarterback.
We're gonna now here's the thing. I've been getting to this thing called Yu-Gi-Oh, and they have this card called Polymer something. Polymerization. Shut up! And with this card, I can fuse 2 people to make a fusion of Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson. That's what I need. I need some more devil's dandruff.
Mr. Jim Mersey, this is the drug testing committee. We would like to let you know that we've actually increased our tolerance towards certain drugs.
My tolerance hasn't increased whatsoever.
Mr. Ursay, we are not testing you. We are just saying that you can do more recreational drugs as part of the new NFLPA committee that we signed,
The
where you can
NFLPA
officially
can suck my dick.
I will say this: that was some news. Guess what, guys? You can now officially smoke weed in the NFL without true fear of being fucking arrested.
We're still not too sure about Ursay and Bolivian marching powder.
Yeah, we're not.
We're still deciding on that.
Keto dust is still in play.
True.
Yeah. But like we said, it's been a relatively week for sports. But I do have something that could be a little bit interesting to talk about. Potential futures. Obviously, as we know, a lot of teams now have started to eliminate the playoffs, so we're starting to get a little bit closer to what we think the playoff picture is going to look like. So, my question for you all is, what is going to be your who do you think will end up making the Super Bowl this year?
You know what? Give me the Bills and the Vikings.
Give me the Seahawks and the Colts.
I'm still riding high on my prediction. Give me Bills Lions.
You know,
what about you, Pitch?
I want to speak. Speaking of teams, speaking of divisional teams, I want to go back to the Chiefs real quick because this is a team because they just escaped another game through I think arguably the dumbest win of the entire season, of their entire season at least, on a muff snap in field goal range, escaping yet again, despite having horrible offense again, despite having horrible special, despite coughing up big plays late on defense. It just seemed like I don't know what to think. I don't want to come off as a coper and a seether, since I do respect that the Chiefs are 11-1 and are still a solid enough team. But my God, I don't think I've ever seen a team play this sloppy and yet still win this much in my life in any sport, really.
Pandemic Steelers.
Now, the 2022 Vikings look like a party compared to this.
No, I mean the pandemic Steelers.
Started well.
Oh, 2017 Steelers, you said?
No,
the bubble Steelers.
Bubble Steelers. But even then, though, that team lost 5 straight games. They didn't lose 5 straight games, but they lost 4 of their last 5 in the regular season. And for some reason, there's just a part of me that thinks that the Chiefs aren't going to do this. This team is an enigma. Finding the most unreal, finding the worst ways to win a football game against teams of all qualities. A team that can barely beat the 2-10 Raiders, and yet somehow also beat the 8-4 Chargers in the exact same way. I don't get it.
I would complain, but the Vikings are doing literally the same thing, and they're 10-2.
That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like the difference is, you know what, the Vikings were more forgivable for, because you know what, it's the Vikings, and you know what, it's fun to see a team led by Sam Darnold keep doing this. But with the Chiefs,
also too, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, with the Chiefs, it's more like I think it's infuriating. It's more infuriating because the Chiefs win in ugly fashion. They're also the same team that's won back-to-back Super Bowls, and they very well have the possibility of making it a three-peat knowing this team, because the Chiefs just find ways to win. They can play in the ugliest way possible, but they will find a way to win. I am seriously convinced. It would not surprise me if the Chiefs find a way to win a playoff game on a kick six. I would not be surprised if something like that happened.
We can and must defeat Mahamas by any means necessary.
Also, I did want to say this real quick. The comparisons between the Chiefs and the Vikings are completely separate, because the Chiefs have a legitimate roster that is built to win a Super Bowl. The Vikings are dicking around. There's a complete difference between these two teams. No offense to the Vikings, they are overachieving as hell.
I'll take it, because,
I'm not saying
like the
that
results I see.
I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. It's just they're overachieving.
Oh, yeah.
Simply put,
you know what I say to that?
I think that's widely accepted.
Yeah, the Vikings are just simply put. I said this before. The Vikings are simply put the good version of the Bears this season, or like the positive version of them.
the Vikings are what the Bears should be, and the Bears are what the Vikings should be.
Well, unfortunately, Kevin O'Connell and Josh McCown have stolen all the looks maxing from Caleb Williams.
You want to know the crazy thing too? You want to know the craziest thing about the whole Bears thing? They'll be in contention until week 18, because this team will find some way to rip my heart out. So, Spencer, I would like to let you know, because I saw a tweet earlier today, and hopefully I can still find it, but the Bears still have a route to the playoffs, and as soon as I pull it up here, you guys are going to hear it, and you're going to be like, oh, that's not going to happen. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, come back to me at week 18 when we're all going to have to pick to see if the Bears are going to be able to make the playoffs or not. Check. Let's see. Yeah, this is the person. Basically, for the Bears to make the playoffs, they need to win out. This week, they need Minnesota to beat Atlanta. Do we all agree that's possible?
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
It's in the realm of possibility.
Absolutely.
Okay. Week 15, they need Seattle to beat Green Bay.
Not happening.
No, I don't.
It's in Seattle, right?
It's in Seattle, yes.
Not happening.
I don't think it's happening.
It's not happening. Gino he's got two modes. It is, it's like your average Reinhardt main in Overwatch. There's trying to max out your use of your shield and not doing jack shit in return, or I'm gonna fucking throw a football when there's 4 other defenders in it. My boy DK Metcalf's got this. He's gonna oh fuck, I threw an interception. So there's throwing, and then there's whatever the hell Gino does.
Well,
by the way, since we're here and we're talking about playoffs and stuff, New England Patriots, Las Vegas Raiders, and Carolina Panthers, please report to the principal's office. Also for Jacksonville Jaguars.
We haven't decided what we're going to do for the principal's office this year yet.
Yeah. Right now, they will be getting a separate slip that says you will have to report to us later, one by one. You will all be.
You are all to stay in the detention room until we call your parents.
Yeah, we have to. We're still deciding what we want to do with it, but once we have decided, we're doing the principal's office this year. We're just still deciding what we want to do for that.
Yeah. I did want to finish this out real quick. So New England has to beat Arizona. I'll say that again. New England has to beat Arizona. New Orleans needs to beat Washington, and The Raiders need to beat Atlanta. Then we need the Giants to beat Atlanta in Week 16. Philadelphia to beat Washington. Carolina to beat Arizona. Minnesota to beat Seattle. And New Orleans to beat Green Bay. Essentially, what it is that the Bears need to. The Bears need pretty much the Niners to win out. The Niners to win out, and they need the Commanders, Cardinals, Packers, and Falcons to lose out.
Look, I'm just gonna say, for as much as like the 100 different miracles that would take to have happened, the only way I would see the Bears have any shot of pulling a playoff out of their ass would be the Bears just start winning games out of nowhere, which, you know, given how much players hated Matt Eberflus and given the fact that they're playing a literal hospital team this week, they're going to have a good chance to start something like that this week. They would need to start doing that, and they would need Washington to completely and utterly collapse. Which, look, it's not entirely out of the question, because, yeah, their OC is Cliff Kingsbury, and everything he touches turns into a bad second half, but they also did beat the Titans last week and beat the crap out of them. They did. So there would have to be like 100 different miracles that would have to happen here. Like, hey, anything's possible, but it would take a lot.
I'm just saying, you know, a Cliff Kingsbury team surrendering a playoff spot to the Bears, that has happened before. If anybody remembers the 2020 Chicago Bears.
Yes.
Where
that is true.
Mitch's last stand.
The MVP season.
Yeah. I will say this. With how the Bears have been playing this year, would it be surprising that they have a potential playoff spot at Week 18? With how this entire season has been, and how much the Bears have given us hope and then ripped it away from us, is that not just the most Bears thing to do ever?
And then they get completely Falcon punched in the wild card by...
No. Here's what's gonna happen. Because I think it'll ultimately be Bears versus Packers, Sunday Night Football. Winner gets in, loser goes home. That kind of deal.
And it would be something special, absolutely. It would be something chaotic even. But just to be completely real, if this happens, and if somehow manages to happen, then the football gods have some very funny humor. And that's my only takeaway from that, because that would be the only way to properly comprehend how the fuck any of that would happen.
I mean, I see it happening very vividly. I have told myself every single game, simultaneously, it's gonna get better and it's gonna get worse. And during the last 3 weeks of the NFL, I have seen the same damn script, but written a different ending every single time. I've essentially saw the first 3 Fast and Furious movies, the first 3 Fast and Furious movies, watching these Bears games. Heartbreaking loss. I will say this though, it sucks for the Bears, because this is truly going to be a what-if team if Keenan Allen doesn't come back and we end up losing some guys on the defensive front due to potentially bringing in a guy that may run a 3-4 defensive scheme.
Do your life be like ooh-ah?
My life be like ooh-ah. But it's just, it sucks. It sucks. The Bears are disappointing yet again, and there's not really much we can do about it. But the football gods have a sick sense of humor, so I'm ready for the January 5th game, the January 5th Sunday Night Football between the 8-8 Chicago Bears and the 9-7 Green Bay Packers for a playoff spot.
You really think the Packers are going to lose out?
They're not beating Seattle.
They also play the Saints after that game, so like in Green Bay, I might add.
I'm just gonna say this now. This year, the Bears have gotten their hope absolutely crushed right in front of them. This will not surprise me if it happens. Also, too, I just want to say this. Sorry, before you say that, I just want to say this. If they do lose to the Saints, and they lose this, they can easily lose to the Vikings and the Seahawks. And you want to know something else? I might have to buy some stock in the Darnold, except for Monday Night Football. Can't have that happen. No, bad. So minus week I think it's 15 or something. Yeah, minus week 15. I will become a Vikings fan as well as Bears fan. Guys,
it's really funny to note. It's funny to note. Sorry to interrupt, but it's funny to note how big of a role the Saints play in this, because I mentioned them against the Packers. The Commanders' next game is against the Saints. So if there's any shot of this having any chance of working, the Saints gotta show up.
You know what? I think these sons of bitches can do it.
Their head coach is Darren Rizzi.
You know what? They got the Riz God, they got the Car God, they got everybody. They can do it. You can run the tables, New Orleans. I believe in you.
You want to know my hot take, personally? I wouldn't be surprised if Week 18 for the Vikings is so meaningless that we end up seeing some Daniel Jones snaps against the Lions.
I think you guys will get Daniel Jones playing in at least one game, because the entire thing with him right now is if he plays a singular snap, the Vikings will get a comp pick. So he'll play in a game in the regular season. I just don't know when.
It could be then, could be now. They literally announced it as he's snapping the ball.
Yeah, it would be really funny though if the Vikings and Lions basically play a meaningless game, and as a result, we get freaking Daniel Jones versus freaking Hendon Hooker.
That just sounds ugly.
Oh no! I have a much better NFL matchup for you guys. You want to hear a truly spectacular matchup coming up soon?
Hmm?
We're gonna get fucking goddamn Tommy DeVito versus Kenny Pickett, Week 18.
Oh god! Oh my fucking god! I mean, hey, Kenny Pickett would be playing football in Week 18. That would be pretty funny, actually. But yeah, that's. God! I can feel the ugly football from here.
I will say this: if it wasn't for the Chiefs being the fucking supreme overlords, I do think it would be really funny if the Bills were just like, fuck it, we're gonna rest Josh Allen for a month. We'll get him to heal up so that way he can hang out with his girlfriend.
And that way we can have like the titty kisser under center.
Exactly, that's what I've been meaning.
They clinched their division. So it is entirely possible.
Right, but also. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say, legitimately, I think going forward, I think the Bills are going to be like, if the Bills lose a game and the Chiefs end up superseding them somehow, I think the Bills would just go straight into fucking mode.
Yo, for the final game of the year, there's a possibility we could see Mitch Trubisky versus Joe Milton.
Yo, that's fire. Nah, it would be Drew Lock. I mean, it would be Drake May. They'd have Drake May play the last game of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, but think about it. They have the
No. Trubisky versus May, the battle of twos. The battle of second overall picks.
Think about it this way for
battle
Joe
of North
Milton.
Carolina quarterbacks.
Yeah, yeah. Think about the narratives that could be built, for some poor B-list play-by-play announcer who desperately has to gas this game up.
What? I can't wait for Josh Johnson versus Dorian Thompson-Robinson week 18.
Oh.
It's just bad game.
I mean, we're gonna get. We won't get it.
I forget.
Tyson Bagents are GOAT.
Tyson Bagent versus.
No, it's Justin. Sorry, Caleb Williams will finish the season.
Yeah.
Center.
Yeah. I will say this though. I do find it really crazy that the Vikings still control their own destiny in the first seed.
Tyson Bagent versus Malik Willis.
No, I don't want to hear Tyson Bagent's name. He's my favorite quarterback that I don't want to hear him play.
I mean, there's a lot of disgusting matchups that could happen in week 18, but it doesn't sound like it. I mean,
it would be based as hell if we got Marcus Mariota versus Trey Lance.
That's not gonna happen. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Tune in for the.
Does anyone want? Hold on, sorry. Does anyone want? Yeah. Does anyone want Tyler Huntley versus? God, who's the Jets backup? Oh, Tyrod Taylor.
That I think is more likely.
No.
That's the most likely.
No.
But I think it's gonna be Tua versus the Jets backup Tyrod Taylor, because I think Rodgers is about to get fucking benched.
Yeah.
Dude, who do the Indianapolis Colts finish their season against?
The Jaguars.
Oh God. Oh, Joe Flacco versus Mac Jones. Oh no.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is, would anyone want to see Davis Mills versus Mason Rudolph?
Everyone would want to see that. However, I have a counterpoint. Would anyone, and I mean anyone here, want to see the epic QB battle between Justin Fields and fucking the Browner, as I call him?
Listen, that's nothing. No, that's nothing compared to the possibility of Carson Wentz versus Zach Wilson.
Oh!
And with that, I think that's a horrible note to end off on.
Yeah, I think we gotta kill the show now. I think we gotta kill this.
Tune in to the Week 18 episode of the Sickos, where we have absolute nobody's coming for us.
Also, make sure to invest in Sicko Coin. I swear, it's not a rug pull, everyone. I promise you, it's a legitimate meme coin. I promise you, we're not pulling the rug. We don't even have hands. What's a pyramid scheme? I never passed geometry.
sicko on that thing.
Also, but for real though, fuck Haley Welsh.
Why?
That shit's disgusting. What the shit that she pulled.
True.
That is.
What's our version of fuck Tua? My Marbies?
No, it's
Yeah.
Go fuck
Invest in
yourself,
Barbie
Haley.
coins.
The fact that she hasn't made a statement, the silence is absolutely infuriating.
The silence is deafening.
It genuinely pisses me off. They were targeting people who never had any sort of idea to invest into crypto and saying like, guys, don't worry, it's safe, but they've lost all their money. And that's something that I genuinely can't stand. But yeah, anyways, I think that's a good place to end it off. I think week 18 might be L's of the year, so stay tuned for one of my favorite streams.
That, or, you know, we come in and end up being ringers on the dumpster fire. That might be cool.
Yeah, who knows? I don't think so. I don't think it'd be this year, but maybe next year, who knows? Anyways, we're gonna head out, and we'll see you next time. Peace.